Hi all, it's Gemma here again. Firstly, I want to apologise for the lighting, but I have quite a big family and trying to get to film during the day when there's nice light is quite difficult, especially as it's the summer holidays. So it's just a quick one. I wanted to do a sort of flip through of my sort of Fauxbonichi and sort of review of this notebook, which is from Paperchase as my alternative to Hobonichi. Basically, a couple of months ago, I discovered Hobonichi for the first time. Before that point, I'd not heard of them, seen one, anything, but I saw some videos on YouTube and thought I'd give it a look. I went on to the Hobonichi website to find out that the English version only comes out for January and the Japanese version came out for April as well, but because it was already sort of June, midway through June I think, and because I didn't know how well I'd be able to cope with the Japanese because I hadn't done that much research, I decided not to bother ordering one and just to try and find an alternative. Now I saw a video by Mrs. Brimballs, or Anna Brim, and she was saying that she'd used this exact notebook as her Fauxbonichi, and I sort of like the look of it. It's off Amazon, it costs about £9, £9.99 maybe, but I had a voucher so it only cost me literally like £2 or something. It cost me like nothing. So but I like the look of it, and it looks really thick. I think it's got about 300 pages, which is about 600 sides, so you know it should last a good old while. So anywho, I started using it daily. I have stuck a couple of cards in here. There were pictures. I stick quotes in, and I decorate every page, but not massively. It's just because it gets a bit boring with lots and lots of writing, because it is sort of my like dear diary. But it's also, you know, what we've been doing that day with the kids, and you know what's been happening. And I got some die cuts in here, but generally it's just washi and stickers really, and lots of writing. And so I do some art in here because I'm trying to learn, because I'm absolutely rubbish. I do put pictures of my children when we do something different, and I do some little drawings, but they're honestly like children's drawings. And my little boy with his glasses, and they're obviously just pretend, but they look so cute. Anyway, so I try and draw these things. Some are really terrible, but you know I enjoy to do it. But I noticed that when I got to literally about here, all of a sudden I hadn't used that much of the book. I mean, that's not much, but the pages literally just started falling out. And I say there's not that much decoration here, there's not loads and loads of cards, but it literally just, the pages didn't rip, they just literally, the actual binding, I've stuck it with super glue now, but the actual binding was coming off and the pages were just literally dropping out. So I've put sellotape everywhere, and like most of these pages have all got tape on, and at this point I'd hardly use much of the book. I will say that this paper will take watercolour. I use watercolour pencils and I do watercolour on it. I've had some bleed through on some things if we get it too wet, but generally it holds up really well. I've also used fountain pen in this every so often, and there's some shadowing, but it is actually, it does hold up better than you'd think. I say I do watercolour and it does sort of work. But this sort of thing about the pages falling out has been a constant problem, and it's really annoying because I really do like this book. And I say I do use it daily, and I probably do about, I don't know, I can do up to about 9 sides maybe. I think the least amount I've used in a day is only 2, because I think I just was so tired. My children asked me to do little animals for each of them, so that's what I do. See, so more journaling with my pictures of my kids and little pictures they've asked me to do. But anyway, so I was trying to decide what I was going to do about replacing this book, because I thought it's just not going to hold up. I started using this on the 6th of July, okay, is when I started using this book, okay, and the month of July ends here, okay, which is like there basically. And at this point it's got so much sellotape in it, I thought, oh my god, I'm going to really have to find a replacement for it. So I was, yeah, searching high and low, what's the best notebooks to get, it's got the nicest paper and things like that. And I decided I'd buy a, what was it first? Oh, I ordered from Kiki K Be Brave new journal, which has watercolour paper, lined paper and plain paper. So I thought, oh well, that's going to be absolutely brilliant, because obviously I do watercolouring. I'm more one for writing, obviously, but I want to do more art because I haven't done it since I was a kid, really. And I think that it's something, you know, I should do. I should try and explore a more creative side and see if I can improve, because I say I draw like a child, I think. But still, so basically I ordered that book and got it. I started to write in it, and it was already quite decorated, the planner. I'll show you in a second. Anyway, that's basically that. And look at it. I mean, that's only been, I've used basically 75 pages in about 6 weeks, if that, about 5 weeks. I think I started on the 6th of July. It's now the 9th of August, and already it's seriously dying. It's just not going to last. And so, yeah, it's not going to do it. So anyway, my first sort of attempt to replace it was I ordered this, as I mentioned earlier, this Kiki K new book from their Be Brave line, which I really did like the look of. I did try writing on it on the first page, which I've removed, and luckily it didn't leave any sort of mark. Now the paper's really nice and thick, it is lovely to write on, but it just wasn't doing it for me. And I think because it already has sort of pictures on it, it also has writing on it, you know, it just, yeah, I think I needed it sort of blank. So I've sort of shelved this and I'm not using it at the moment. So my next choice was I tried something else. So I got a Lochstern notebook, which I think is gorgeous, and it's the limited edition in gold. It's got, I watched lots of YouTube videos about the Lochstern, and I found out that the paper is far superior to even moleskins, because I initially was just going to get a moleskin, but it's got all the things that a moleskin has and sort of more extra bits. But I tried writing on this and I also didn't love it either. I personally found, I mean, in this book here, in the Paper Chase one, because the grids are really small, I write every other grid, because my writing's not tiny and I don't like to feel too restricted. If I try and write in between the tiny grids, it's not comfortable, so I write every other, and it's not too spread out, so it looks alright and I don't feel like I'm wasting too much paper. Now this is lined paper, but I think that it's too narrow and it wasn't comfortable for me to write in, but yeah, it's too wide for me to miss out a line. And they don't do the gold version in a grid, and also the paper doesn't crinkle really. I hadn't tried it for watercolour, granted, so maybe it probably would have had I've, you know, used some sort of wet media on there, but yeah, I don't know, it just didn't sort of float my boat. So after 2 days, so I gave them a day each basically, I went back into this Paper Chase book, which, as I say, is definitely on its way out. I'm still currently using it, and I had a thought that maybe what I can do is, if it starts to really get bad, I'll turn it over and start using it back to front, upside down, if you see what I mean, and see how much use I can get out of it. I mean, whatever happens, I'll be keeping this book because it's got a lot of memories in here already and lots of photos that I want to keep. But I did go and order a Hobonichi in an A6, the Japanese version that started in April. I'm also slightly concerned if I'm using that Hobonichi. I know it's a day a page, but I use more than a day a page currently. So I'm worried it might not be enough space. So I think I'm still probably going to need a separate journal and a Hobonichi. My plan is at Christmas to order an A5 cousin and use that as sort of a planner and sort of a journal, maybe do some art in it, and then have another sort of journal, Dear Diary type, additionally to it. So I say I'm just waiting for my new A6 Hobonichi to come, and I will use this up until it does, and I'm just going to fill in all the pages that I've missed with art and pictures and basically journaling, and just ignore the dates that are currently there, and see if I like it and see if I like the paper, because I've discovered that it's really the paper I like in this book. It's sort of shiny, it's got sort of a sheen to it but not too much, and it really is nice and sort of crinkly. It's got a nice sound to it because it's quite thin, and I haven't tried the Tomo River paper, and I know that's what's in the Hobonichi, and I think that's what I'm going to really like. So before I sort of splash out on a big A5 and buy a really nice cover, I thought I'd get the little A6 and a cover that I really like, to try it out, because if I love the paper, then I will have no qualm about spending the money and paying the customs and all that carry on nearer to Christmas. Because, as I say, I did so much research looking for especially this Notchdown book, which I really like. I mean, I nearly, before it got here and I started using it, I nearly bought it in multiple colours. I bought one for my son for college, and he loves his, but it's just not doing it for me. And I think as well because it's a hardback, I'm not that big on it, and I like it to be a bit floppy. I think I feel a bit restricted by it, to be honest. But anyway, that's my long-winded story about it. But if anyone's got any other suggestions which has got sort of the right sort of paper that's not going to fall to bits, I mean, maybe I just got really unlucky and the others haven't been doing this. I say I've already super glued the top edge because it was really gapping out loads, which was obviously making the pages all fall out, and I haven't done the bottom yet, but I'm tempted. But there's always a bit of glue that gets onto the pages. I mean, this book used to lay flat when you opened it. I mean, now it does if I get to my main page. It does now because all the sellotape's closer to the front. But, you know, I did have a page fall out literally a couple of days ago here, and I had to sellotape that. But it does generally lay flat, which is really good. But where it's had so much tape and glue, I've had a whole section of papers fall out, and I've had to literally stick them back in. So if anyone's got any more suggestions for me, I'm very willing to listen. I say I have a bit of a planner and notebook issue. So get in touch. Thanks. Bye.